My friends, I wanted to welcome you to the Daily Shortcut. My name is Dave Wood, I'm your host, and I want to thank you for tuning into today's show. I'm excited to be here right now and to offer you valuable insight that's going to dramatically increase the results that you're getting in your life and the results that you're getting in your business. A smart man once said to me that I did everything that one would to live a life that no one else can. In other words, if you want to live a life that your friends aren't living, that your family hasn't lived, that your ancestors hadn't lived, you got to do what they weren't willing to do. The lesson here is that your life, my life, is a direct result of the actions that we decide to take and the decisions that we make. And our decisions and our actions are a result of the outcomes, the things we're focused on in our mind, and the words that we're speaking, and the things that we're inputting into our unconscious. So then if you want a different life, what do? What you got to do is you got to change what you're holding in your mind in the form of internal representations of the future that you're in the process of creating with me. And also in turn, you got to change your words, you got to change your decisions, and you've got to change, most importantly, your actions from that. If you like what I share today, I want you to let me know in the comments below this video, and that's the best way to give me feedback, to let me know so I can keep sharing stuff that's like this. And we even pick the best comment every single day to win a free book. Today's winner is actually going to get a copy of the book called The Millionaire Messenger by Brendon Burchard. I think Brendon Burchard's material is excellent. So let's get started. Number one, this is just a process of thinking. We're going to go through a bunch today. Call bullshit bullshit and accept that it's just that. Bullshit's bullshit, it's not anything more. Stop making excuses for things you can't do, why you can't do things. It's time to call out the bullshit in your own personal life, like it's time to call out the bullshit in mine. In fact, it's all the time to call out my bullshit. I like doing it and discovering new things about myself that I can change. Here's just a couple of the example of bullshit excuses that I've heard that if you're doing, you should call out and just call them what they are. This is one that I've heard from people. They say, I'll invest into my business when I see results. That's like somebody saying, I'm going to go operate on patients and then invest in my education as a doctor after I succeed. Number two, I can't write a blog post today because I don't have the time. Well, how are you going to get time to write blog posts if you don't generate income from doing something in your business? Number three, I'll make money when I find the secret. Well, maybe the secret is actually doing something, so you're never going to make money. Number four, I'll take action when someone holds my hand. Well, if they're holding on to your hand, how could you even move, let alone take action? You got to type with that hand, right? Now, it's all just bullshit. Here's the thing. It's just excuses. It's ways of justifying the life that you actually don't even want right now. In other words, you don't even want this life. Why justify it? Rather than taking powerful control over the parts of your life that you want to change and use that same ability of justifying to justify the creation of the life that you actually want. Why don't we do that together? See, we're responsible for our results. If you don't like the results that you're getting, or I don't like the results I'm getting, and we really want to change those results, it starts by accepting all of this is just bullshit. It's excuses that we're using, or I've used in the past, maybe you're using now, to justify a life that you don't want, rather than taking powerful control over your life and using that same excuse-making ability to instead justify why you can do things, why you can create the life that you want. See, you're responsible for the results that you're getting, and if you don't like your current results and you really have the desire to change them, what it's actually going to start with, it's going to start with accepting responsibility, which creates a change in your internal filtration system. It creates an internal filter of allowing you to take action to change your results according to your new beliefs. Thing number two that we're going to talk about, and that's to stake your claim. Stake your claim. Don't just believe in a future, stake your claim in a new future. Once you call out the bullshit and you see life for what it really is, whatever you make of it is what it is. You can stake your claim, you can actually make a new life because it's whatever you make of it, right? That's what that means. You can decide what kind of life you want to create, and you could just create that life. It starts with setting clear outcomes, clear goals, written down, and declaring to the universe that that is what you will step into, and then generating faith in your new future and believing in it and talking about it every day. A lot of the time, people are waiting for approval from the outside to do something. They're not sure if it's okay for them to make lots of money or to just build the business that they want. They're seeking permission, they're seeking validation outside of themselves, maybe from a spouse, maybe from their parents, maybe from their kids, maybe from their boss, whoever it is, maybe a mentor from the outside that doesn't have what they want. And that's because they're filled with fear. The reality is, let's even talk about something here real quick, the spouse thing, okay? If you're an accountant now and you got married to your spouse, did you get permission from them to be an accountant? No, you didn't. You probably just decided to do that. Did you get permission to be a doctor? No, you didn't do that. Did you get permission to have the life that you have now? No, you just created it. So just decide to create what you want and just create that. And people follow people who believe in themselves and who decide that this is what I'm going to do. Don't challenge it. This is what we're doing. And if you don't like it, it's okay, right? See, the reality is a lot of people are looking for validation from the outside, from others, before they take any action. But here's something interesting about validation, and that's if you change who you are and you become confident in your ability to create things, you actually can just approve of yourself and create self-validation. It's much better, way cooler, because you just are who you are, being who you want to be, and accepting yourself. See, entrepreneurs who succeed, we're not allowed to take time to get validation from the outside self, or the outside of ourselves, excuse me, as a source of our motivation and decision and inspiration to do new things, because we don't have time. If entrepreneurs like me, we needed permission outside of who we are to create things, I would have never gotten anything done. We'd never create anything because we'd all be waiting for a leader that would never come, because leaders don't need permission to take action. They just take it. See, people don't like giving validation to other people to do things that they're afraid of doing themselves. If you're nervous, it's going to make somebody nervous to approve of you. And it doesn't really matter whether they like what you're creating or they don't like it. Just take charge and decide. Because you're creating it anyways, aren't you? You're creating this life right now. And maybe you didn't even get validation to create that. This is just a fear that you've got. You want to stop seeking a validation from outside of the self if you want to prosper. Just take charge. Take charge of your future. You are worthy of your outcomes, and you can create them, and you can step into them. I know that you can do that. I have confidence in you as a human being. You're an incredible creation. Decide what life you want, what kind of life that you want, and just have courage and start stepping into it, and then you'll eventually step into it fully. Number 3 thing we're going to talk about, and that's start with why. I can't count the amount of times I've talked about this, but there's a great book, and it's called Start With Why. And the premise of this book is that before you start a business or before you start anything, it's good to ask yourself why you want to do that thing. Because if you don't have a strong reason why you want to do something, you're not going to do what it takes when stuff gets tough. And the reality is that almost nobody knows the real deep reasons why they're doing anything in their life. They're just doing them. They're doing them because a father told them, they're doing them because a mother told them, a boss told them, a spouse told them. They're just doing things that they're programmed to do. See, deep inside, down deep, you have a purpose, and it's wired into the fabric of your unconscious, it's wired into your values, it's wired into who you are. When you connect with that purpose, it will generate a new kind of work energy in your body, in your mind, to create and to manifest new things and to do totally new things in your life. Things are going to get tough if you're creating wonders in your life, you're creating changes in the world like I create. Things will get tough sometimes. The greater the goal, the greater the obstacles, the more challenging, the more competition that you'll encounter, and the more courage that you're going to need in order to defeat the obstacles that stand in the way of you accomplishing that goal. The more courage you'll need to rise victorious through the ashes, just like a phoenix in the land of the living, creating the vision that you want, that you've first created inside your heart and mind. You got to remember something, that there will be obstacles. Thing number 4, and that's to have complete certainty in what you're doing. Belief and expectation have an incredible effect on the mind and actually physically on the body. Certainty is actually more than just belief and expectation. It's taking belief and expectation and changing it into a knowing. It's knowing that your will is being imposed on the 5-dimensional reality printing machine in front of you in the universe, because you know that you're a creator and you're getting this thing done. I discovered this as I studied hypnosis, and I still do. I still read a lot of books on the mind, hypnosis, psychology, and business. And when you believe and expect something and then act as if it's there, you perceive the world in a radically different way and will even alter externally what you're perceiving on the outside world from the pure manifestation of faith, and if nothing else, action that you're taking, that you're first generating inside your mind and your heart. The cells in your body actually will alter the way that they're producing chemicals that will alter the way that your body feels in your health, your mindset, your emotions, and the way you continue to think itself. You'll actually get more and less healthy depending on how you think. So there's this hypnotist, and he has this friend. And I read this in one of my books. The friend invited a hypnotist over for dinner one day, and the friend actually told the hypnotist how his wife was afraid of him coming over. She thought that hypnotists were evil and that they would have complete control over her mind if she only looked into their eyes. She believed and expected that when she looked into the eyes of a hypnotist, she would instantly go down into a deep trance. Now, this belief was actually formed from a bunch of old fictional tales, but the night came, and when the hypnotist went over for dinner at the friend's house, the friend opened the door and invited him in. He told his wife, the hypnotist had arrived, and she strolled over to meet him. In great anticipation and nervousness, she looked into his eyes. And then, falling into a deep unconscious trance, almost hitting the floor, the hypnotist caught her at the last minute and whispered into her ear, "Look at the power that you have to create your experience." As you now come out of this trance for dinner, you'll realize that just like you wanted to go into this trance and willed it to happen, you can create a new world, a new life, and are going to awaken filled with happiness and peace. She awoke, and feeling calm and powerful, began to create new things, not remembering exactly how she was able to do all of those things she just did. But dinner was delicious, if you could imagine that. Now, if you want to create the results that you want, you need to believe and expect them to happen in advance of them happening. If you believe negative outcomes are inevitable and you're never going to succeed, you probably won't succeed the way that you want, as big as you want, and as fast as you possibly can. And who wants that, right? You have to have absolute certainty in whatever it is that you're doing, total certainty that it's happening right now in your life. Like you're having a beautiful memory from the future of the life that you actually desire, only rather than thinking about it something that's not going to happen, you're thinking about it like it's happened already as a memory from the future. Thing number 5, you got to nurture the right mindset, and I'm going to say daily, all day. And this is so when you know what you want and you know and expect it to happen, acting in constant self-validation that the external world is not actually, it's not actually you're reflecting on it, it's reflecting from inside of you, right? The world is a mirror of your inward self-generated reflection of your ideas that you have, because you're actually creating your experience of the world even if you're not creating the world. Before you start working, and before you start this process, you have to decide in advance that you're going to nurture the right mindset by filling your mind and your heart with material that feeds your ability to walk in the majestic creative power that runs through time. And you are part of that power. Acting from a mindset of scarcity, for example, it's a surefire way to never get anywhere by the byproduct of accidentally manifesting constant validation in your life of the scarcity that you're creating in your mind, even though it's a false view of external reality. Reality is not scarce. Negativity and the law of attraction are actually really easy to see in your environment, and also the direct opposite manifestations of wonder and abundance are easy to see everywhere. Your brain, it actually has something that does this. It's called the reticular activating system, which is actually a system inside your brain that controls what you put attention on every day. It takes your beliefs and values and actually distorts your perception of the world around you to see what you want or what you're focused on in the time delay from receiving incoming information through your 5 senses, and when you actually perceive that interpretation of what you're taking in, that data you're taking in. There's actually a time delay in the brain of perception, right? It takes a certain time from the time that you actually see something with your eyes in the time that you actually see it inside your brain. In other words, what you're seeing right now, it's not actually what's there. It's your internal representation of what's there, and it's been through a series of filters that actually happen outside of your personal awareness. The brain is not complex enough to comprehend us doing this and doing it at the same time. But sometimes what it thinks that you want isn't what you actually want, and what you think you're focusing on is actually the opposite of the energy and direction of your focused intentions. In other words, sometimes we're focusing on what we don't want instead of what we want, and we're doing it accidentally because we don't know. We're running old tapes that we were programmed from decades ago, repeating patterns from the past, and you can imagine it working like this. Let's say you have 2 million bits of information hitting you every moment in your 5 senses, which is actually somewhat close to accurate depending on your personal biology, your nutrition, the way that your brain functions. This varies a little bit, but it's relatively about that. Consciously out of that, you actually only have the ability to focus on 7 plus or 2 minus chunks of information. That's actually bits of information, whether they're chunked together or not. Some of you know what I'm talking about, some of you don't. Doesn't matter. But all the rest of the information, which is nearly all of it, almost all of the 2 million bits of information, are sort of outsourced, if you could imagine that, to your subconscious filtration systems that actually operate in near instantaneous operational speeds in the background. Your brain deletes, it distorts, it generalizes almost all the information that you take in before you're ever aware of experiencing it, and therefore what you experience is not what's there. Like, for example, if you're walking in a park. If you've ever seen a snake out of the corner of your eye, but you look and it's not actually a snake, it's just a stick, but you don't know it's just a stick until you check, and with the new information of what it actually looks like in front of you, your unconscious filtration systems reinterpret the perception of that stick to be closer to its actual physical reality, and it changes to a stick. Has that ever happened to you? Something like that. You're like, you're crazy. It happens to everyone, right? Things like this. Typical cases of generalization and distortion do that. Now, the 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information that you're focused on are actually controlled by background systems. And a background system example, an operating system, would be beliefs, values, memories, your mood at the time, your biology, the things you're talking about inside your head, maybe something you just experienced, what's going on your unconscious mind. Maybe you're even having poverty-focused beliefs and values about money, and therefore what you're doing is you're filtering opportunities to make money, and you're actually altering things right in front of you, like the snake thing, right? And you're deleting opportunity, you're distorting it, you're generalizing it to be something else, to be another manifestation of poverty through your particular beautiful mind that you actually have the power to retrain, reprogram, and change so it's different. So you can actually be prosperous instead. Now, if you want to, you can actually do that right now as you're continuing to watch this episode and continuing to pay attention. If you believe, for example, that rich people are evil and your values are that being righteous means that you're not going to be rich, and you like to be righteous, well, then you're going to subconsciously avoid, sabotage, and even destroy your constant influx of opportunities that are appearing in your life to make money, and you're not even going to realize that you're doing it, and you're doing it for false reasons, because that's not true. Isn't that fascinating? And you might actually be doing that, and maybe you're doing the opposite. Maybe you're seeing tons of opportunity, and you can even choose to do that now. See, as you're changing right now without even realizing how fast you can change, you can be fascinated at the same time at how you even did that and how you can just switch your perception in a second. And getting more rich and powerful is actually easy as we continue to speak through this video, through technology each day, as you continue watching the Daily Shortcut episodes. What did I just say? You have no idea. But it doesn't matter, because right now you're creating the right mindset. And it starts with changing the information that you're putting into your mind through your input systems, which is the 5 senses, as well as your structure of filtering it through the alteration of your personal, chosen, and structured beliefs, values, and internal representations. You can change all of that. You can change your future through doing that. It's like if you do something, for example, like getting rid of your TV, or only playing images on your TV of the things that you want on there and things that inspire you, like a moving, living dream board in front of you in your living room. That would alter the experience and structure of the way you experience reality, just like watching the news does. Only this would actually be good news, and it would be the good news you've been searching for, which is the life that you want. Look, I'm going to tell you something. If you want to feel good all the time, you got to turn off mass media and stuff that programs you to not do what you want, unless you're doing that for work or something. But there's no reason to watch mass media. CNN, NBC, Fox, whatever else you use to indulge in negative garbage and brainwashing that programs you to be average. It programs you to be a mindless, unaware victim of rich and powerful evil people, right? And you get things like this in your mind, and it doesn't teach you about your own power to get rich. For example, let me give you a metaphor, right? And I like Superman. Everybody likes Superman, but who's the good guy? Superman. Is he rich or poor? He's poor. Who's the bad guy? Lex Luthor. Is he rich or poor? He's rich, right? You can almost go through every single show and meme on television, and it's like that. Media programs people to be average and poor. You can start changing your life by changing what comes into the five senses, and you'll actually change what you're actually seeing and experiencing in the external world by doing that. Now, here's some simple ways that you can actually change your experience of the world, right? I like to say, get rid of the idiot box, or change its programming. Put on beautiful things that inspire you all the time. Start reading books by successful people all the time. Read books about things that you want to accomplish by people who've done them. Listen to audios every day that uplift, that inspire you. Good music that inspires you, that reprograms your mind to be better, to feel good about yourself. Get around successful people who inspire you, who believe in you, who are creating or co-creating with you what you want. See, when you do things, when you change input systems, when you change what comes into the five senses, you'll actually start experiencing things the way that you're programming yourself. You'll start seeing the world in a different way. Your reticular activating system will actually shift its focus on which chunks it's focused on and start looking for all the amazing, positive, wonderful things in your environment, all the opportunities. When you just pay attention to them, you'll be amazed that there's actually even more amazing things in your life than there is things that you don't want. There really is. Suddenly you'll start seeing the opportunities at the right times right in front of you, and you'll feel like you're in the right place at the right time all the time, even if you're not even aware how that could possibly be happening, because you're creating the right place at the right time. So how else do you think that successful people seemingly make the right decision all of the time? It seems like that a lot of the time. They have like an instinct for the right decision. See, most of the decisions that you're making, they're actually not even conscious. They happen in the unconscious, and there's actually a time delay, and you make the decision unconsciously before you're even aware of the decision, and then you think you consciously made it, but it actually happens most of the time in the background. To change your consistent decisions that you're actually making on a daily basis, you have to make now in advance a conscious choice of changing your unconscious programming, which will then change the way that you filter information. It'll change your filtration systems, and you can do that right now. You can start changing those. A lot of the time, the reason that people aren't successful in their life is because they need to have an identity shift at a deep core level. All of their old programming is still running their life, and they don't even know it a lot of the time, and the reason is because it's automatic and unconscious, and it operates on a deep rooted level, and they continue to manifest it over and over again. There's a metaphor that I like to use. I want you to think about an elephant. So not a lot of people actually know this, but grown elephants in captivity are actually kept in place by a very short stake in the ground that they could just tear out. But how did they get there is the question, right? Well, it's when they were small, they tried to get rid of that stake. They couldn't get rid of it. But after a while, what happens is they stop trying because they can't move it, because small elephants are kept in place by a large stake. Even though a grown elephant could tear that out anytime they want to, they don't do it. And why? It's because they were programmed by an actual stake in the ground that they can't. See, people are like that. You can change how you perceive the world right now, and you could just tear the stake out. You could tear the chains that are holding you back. But to do that, you got to change the information that you consume, that you're bringing inside your mind and your body and your heart. All right, let me give you an example of doing this in my life, and then I'm going to give you some bonuses to help you change your perception. There was a relationship that I had, and after I was out of it, this is years ago, I only had negative memories of it. It was like all negative. And I was like, this person did this and that, and then one day I was like, wait a second, this isn't accurate. I'm just filtering this. And then I got out a journal, I got out a notebook, and I just went in and I said, you know, brain, help me out here, unconscious mind. What are all the beautiful things I experienced? And I just started to write. Now, first, it was difficult. And then I started to remember amazing things that happened. And there was much more amazing stuff that had happened than negative stuff, right? And it totally shifted my perception of that entire section of my life, just by shifting what I was focusing on. Now, here's what I want you to focus on right now, is what you're focused on, which might actually be my voice, and it might be the screen, or maybe the whites on the sides of the video, and maybe you're actually looking below and thinking about the comment that you're going to write to win that free book by Brendon Burchard. But what you need to do next is go down, write a comment about how you're going to change the focus in your life, and then put in your email. If you write the best comment, we'll contact you, we'll send you a book. We've been sending a book out every day we've been making the show. On that next page, when you put in your email address, you're going to get bonuses that are going to help you take this and change your mind and your heart. What I want you to do is download all of them. There's 3. Number 1, there's an audio. and that's going to be an audio replay of this show. Number 2, there's going to be a PDF workbook to help you apply these things. And number 3, you're going to be able to get access to the system that we use to grow together and also make money at the same time. That's the Total Shortcut system. So on the next page, you can watch that video in full and get access to the Total Shortcut system, and I'll see you in the next episode. Now here's the thing. I actually have a part 2 of this episode, which is items 6 through 11 that you can do with me, right? In order to think and produce differently, and I'll cover that in a separate day. For now, my friend, scroll down, write a comment, put your email in, and claim your 3 bonuses. And I want to congratulate you for kicking ass and producing what you want in your life by changing the way that your mind works inside. Now, I'll see you in the next episode.